There is a lot going on in the AI and copyright world right now. On one hand, we have companies like OpenAI being sued daily for copyright infringement, since basically their training data is based on copyright material. But they are getting away with it with all sorts of excuses. And on the other hand, we have artists that are starting to use the results of this generative AI content, either partially or just trying to copyright the image results from text prompt, and how they have been consistently rejected by copyright offices. We are going to talk about all these in depth because this is still an ongoing debate and quite thought-provoking. If you are a creator, this will definitely interest you. As you know, having copyright allows you to sue someone for copyright infringement if they copy you. But can you copyright an image that you have got from Midjourney or Dall-E or Stable Diffusion after giving a text prompt? Well, the reality is that so far, every single application for copyright from an artwork that has used AI has been rejected. Let's have the example of this artwork, Theater d'Opera Spatial, which came first in 2022 Colorado State Fair. For this work, Matthew Allen used up to 624 prompts to produce 624 AI images. Then he used Photoshop to blend and refine them, also used digital brushes to make final touches, and Topaz Gigasize AI to generate the final high-resolution image. So it's not a simple prompt out-of-the-box image. There is a complex process to achieve the final work. But when he tried to copyright this, the government agency in US decided that Allen can only copyright the parts of the process he was directly involved in, but can't grant copyright to the parts produced by AI. Another case, things seems to go in a different direction when the US Copyright Office granted a first-of-its-kind registration for a comic book generated with the help of text-to-image AI Midjourney. The comic is a complete work, an 18-page narrative with characters, dialogue, and a traditional comic book layout. But soon after this decision, US Copyright Office asked more information to the artist who created the work, Christina Castanova, who needed to provide details about her process to show that there was substantial human involvement in the process of creation of this graphic novel. The US Copyright Office finally reviewed its decision, stating that Castanova is the author of the work's text as well as the selection and layout of the images. The images themselves, however, are not product of human authorship, and the registration originally granted for them was cancelled. Castanova states, "My lawyers are looking at our options to further explain to the Copyright Office how individual images produced by Midjourney are direct expression of my creativity and therefore copyrightable." Let's talk about this because it's not as simple. In both cases, the main issue here is whatever AI has generated, because not only in US but in most countries, no art generated by machines or animals can be granted copyright as today. This was specifically addressed in regards to AI in the Federal Register Copyright Guidance published in March 2023, and I will put the link below. The reason why AI-generated content can't be considered for copyright is basically because it fails to meet two main requirements for copyright: originality and authorship, but especially authorship. Let's talk first about originality. Originality is about being unique and creative. In the context of art or writing, it means coming up with something new or putting a personal twist on existing ideas. So for an artwork to be granted copyright, it shouldn't obviously be a direct copy of another existing artwork. It can be inspired by some art pieces, and this is more the rule than the exception in the art world, and is a healthy creative process. But there has to be a transformative force making it a unique, different work. This is the so-called transformative use, which adds new meaning or message to the original or originals, and is often a key player to consider the use of copyright material as fair use. Fair use is a term that allows to surpass potential copyright claims. One of the things copyright offices ask themselves mostly to determine fair use is, does this new outcome threaten the market profit and livelihood of the original creator by competing with their works? If this doesn't happen, then fair use is granted. Now, when we type a prompt and we get an image from any generative AI software, the result is usually derived from several existing artworks or images that come from large training data sets, usually copyright material. These source images have been recombined in unique ways to satisfy the prompt requirements. Wouldn't this be considered to have a transformative effect that creates a new meaning from the originals and be described as fair use? There could be a loophole here, and most of the AI companies are using this argument in order to steal and scrap copyright material to train the AI models, claiming that there is a transformation happening in the outputs. Generative AI is feeding from actual real copyright artworks that actually have been made using a pen, a brush, a photograph technique, or using computer digital skills and techniques that have been acquired by the artist over years of dedication to forge a personal style. And while there are prompts that can aim for more originality, where it's difficult to recognize the sources, and generative AI software companies are aiming for that, there are prompts that reveal clearly what the source is. And that's what OpenAI call regurgitation, when the result is really recognizable from the source. It's not original enough. What is sure is that prompt that says, give me a house image in the style of this artist, it's going to be very easy for the copyright artist to win the case. But the main problem is not in the originality, which could potentially be disguised as fair use if generative AIs become more creative, but the problem lies in the second requirement of copyright, which is authorship. And authorship is about being the person, and by the person I mean the human person who actually made the creation of the work. The truth is the person who has typed the prompt hasn't done the recombination choices. This person has no control of the code or the data set used to create the final image. The so-called prompt artist entirely relies on the choices provided by the generative AI code. He has only typed the prompt, but has no personal involvement whatsoever in the process. So basically, someone using generative AI needs no technique. Or you could argue the technique is the AI code and database, and that's why offices are so reluctant to grant copyright. In fact, they refer to the prompt art making as someone giving instructions to a commissioned artist, which in this case would be the generative AI software. And it makes total sense. Midjourney, for example, states that if you pay the subscription, you own the image as a file and you can use it for commercial purposes, but you do not own any copyright of the image, and you cannot by law copyright it, which means anyone can use it and you have no rights to claim any compensation for it. I think authorship and technique are the key elements here. Technique is deeply linked to authorship and originality. The process behind the art, the steps, and the order these steps are applied are a collection of personal decisions, sometimes thousands of decisions that only the artist can make because they are driven by a personal vision and empowered by the artistic experience and skills. And that's why an artist getting inspired by other artists, which is how creativity works, it's fun most of the times because the artist is adding a personal choice of steps, a technique, a particular vision. Back to the case of Alan, I would say this is not a straightforward case because Alan must have made hundreds of prompts until he was satisfied with the result. Then he has combined these images, created masks and layers, repainting things in Photoshop, so there is a lot of personal creative decisions that came into play, for sure, that you could argue are part of a personal technique, a collection of steps and decisions driven by a vision. This could be no different from some collage artwork that plays cutouts of images from newspapers in a unique way. And we have several examples of it in the art world. In cases like this, where there is a more elaborate process and not just direct use of a prompt, it's not that easy to determine who owns what. And that's why it's probably a good idea, if you are using AI in your artwork, to document every step of the way. So copyright offices have better understanding of the process because for sure they are going to request it, and eventually they might give up and grant copyright with the use of AI elements if there is enough human creativity involved in the final result. It just takes one precedent and it might happen. I do believe AI can assist us in creating artwork as long as there is an inner vision and we use it as inspiration and we make it our own way. using our own personal technique towards the final result. As long as we humans are the ultimate decision makers, as long as we are the main drive and not an algorithm deciding the best result, but our soul and our own vision and our technique serving us to achieve what we want to express by forging a unique style. Thanks a lot for watching, and if you enjoy this content, make sure you subscribe and like. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.